This is the summary on Daf Pei Gimel. It's first finishing up the previous mimer where we explain about Hashmini Atzeres, which is Simchas Torah, the level of Keser that is higher than the intellect, and that's why it is unique amongst the Yomim Tovim that it's described as being lachem, for you, for the people, as opposed to as for Hashem, because it is the opportunity for the Yidden to absorb all of this level of godliness. And the mimer points out that there are three Kesers. There is the Keser Malchus, that's Rosh Hashanah, the Keser Kahuna, that's Yom Kippur, when the Kohen Gadol enters, and the Keser Torah, which is on Shmini Atzeres and Simchas Torah, that results in the good deeds, which is the Keser Shem Tov Ha'olah Gabei. Then there's a new mimer also based on the pasuk of B'yom Hashmini Tatzeres Tiel Lechem, and we talked about the difference between the left hand and the right hand, and like we say that it is better one deed of tshuva and ma'asim tovim in this world than all the world to come. And we asked that the Gemara, in its dispute as to which is greater, study or deed, it resolves that it is study because it results in deed, which led to the question, well then isn't the value of study only when it's deed, so then deed is greater? So we talked about how the 248 limbs of the body are the 248 mitzvahs, and we asked the 248 mitzvahs are the 248 limbs of the king. And we asked, well, Hashem doesn't have a form, he doesn't have limbs. So we started to talk about some of these ideas. For example, Titan Emes Yaakov. And we explained that Hashem has two different perspectives. From our perspective, we are real, Yesh, and Hashem is not a thing, so he is ayin. But from Hashem's perspective, he is real Yesh, and all of creation is ayin. And the closer it gets to Hashem, the more obvious its ayin is. So we consider it Yesh mi'ayin, Hashem considers it ayin mi'yesh. Then we understand the idea of hoidu la Hashem and moidim. What does it mean, hoidah? That when you have a dispute with another person and you come around to his way of thinking, you are moided to him. You acknowledge. So too, we presume that we exist. When we come around to realizing that Hashem exists, this is our opportunity to express hoidah. And this is why Hallel is said when the cycle of we exist, nature is real, is then broken through the mitzvahs. We then transform from the presumed existence of the physical and the speculation about the spiritual to a more obvious awareness of the spiritual and a speculation about the physical, thus prompting the declaration of hoidu and of Hallel. This helps us understand also how it says that Hashem swore to our fathers to give us the land, that just like a person makes a promise and he swears to it because he anticipates that there might be a reason why he would not want to do it, so too, even if logic says in the specific circumstance that the Jews shouldn't get the land because they violated, they sinned, and yet Hashem is committed to it because of his oath. And this is based or contained within the pasuk that says, even though my mother and father have abandoned me, Hashem has taken me. And mother and father in this context being a reference to our intuitive love for Hashem, even if that's seemingly been abandoned. It's been so cluttered that we no longer even sense our innate love of Hashem. Still, Hashem will take us in. Because of this oath that he made. And this helps us understand how we say in the brachas, Asher Kedishanim and Mitzvah, Asher is Ashrei, when there is this great joy. And this is through the mitzvahs that Hashem commands us to do the mitzvahs. And because we have this innate characteristic of desire for Hashem, therefore, when we do the mitzvah, it becomes special. Whereas if a non-Jew would do this same action, it wouldn't be meaningful to Hashem. The Bible doesn't say this, but to use as a simple illustration, if your child tells you they love you or they make you some sort of arts and crafts, it's very beautiful. If a total stranger does it, it doesn't have that same meaning because it's not predicated on that innate level of love. And now we understand that Olam Haba, we only get a glimpse of godliness. But in this physical world, we have the full-on intensity of godliness, which is why our human acts of mitzvahs, although they may appear to be limited and even puny, prompt a response of the infinite. Our Yisrusa de Lasata prompts the response of the Yisrusa de Leila from Hashem, that he responds in kind to our mitzvah actions.